This is the Show Up Show, helping coaches, service providers, leaders, and entrepreneurs to master showing up to build their brand, authority, and grow their business. Whether it's showing up on social media, in front of an audience, on a live interview, or an actual stage, this podcast is going to help you overcome visibility fear to confidently brand yourself as the authority in your industry. I'm Joanne Chan, aka the Confidence and Visibility Queen, and I am on a mission to share how I went from a nobody to the confident leader I am today, what I have learned, and what I have done to build my brand and business from scratch, and help you do the same so that you can make an impact in the world with the meaningful work that you do. Whether you are new to the business world or feeling unsure about public visibility, or you want to be seen and heard in a way that doesn't feel icky but authentic to you, you will discover how to become visible in your own unique way and show up as the confident entrepreneur you have always dreamed about becoming. Now, it's time to get you show up and be confidently visible so you can easily attract more clients and opportunities for yourself. In 2002, his street bike was rear-ended by a speeding pickup truck. His helmet broke off his head and he had an outer body experience. He sustained a traumatic head injury. For the following 7 years, he went to expensive doctors and dove into Class A narcotics and denial. The way out was writing. He wrote his story and wrote about the future of being a professional speaker. In 2010, he started speaking, and it took 9 years to turn speaking into profit. During that time, he honed his skills by researching, interviewing, reading, and training speakers for up to 8 hours a day. After a decade of shaping international speech champions, guiding TEDx luminaries, keynote speakers, and even fine-tuning a $100 million CEO, he prides himself on the thousands of hours he has watched speakers with the sound of learning every detail of non-verbal communication. So ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming the speaking coach, Devin Bisanz. Welcome to the show.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Of all my introductions, that was the most recent.
Yeah, I really enjoy reading your bio. Basically, it's your story and how you get started. So, since I already shared your story, now tell my listeners, and I'm also curious, like, how did you begin your journey into public speaking, and why did you want to become a public speaker?
There was a couple of reasons. One was that I wanted to make money, and I knew that the top speakers were paid really well. And the other reason was because I did a speech when I was going to college, and I was a part of the traumatic brain injury group. There was I don't know, about 150 people who donated to the college and gave the bursaries and scholarships, all the business leaders. I gave a speech there and I got a standing ovation and I was hooked. I was like, I want to do this. So it happened a while before I even got into speaking.
Right. And so, okay, how you mentioned that it took you 9 years to turn speaking into profit. And why do you think it's so hard? Even today, I think even today, so many aspiring speakers, they want to become a profitable speaker, and it's so hard because nobody's paying speakers to speak. And so why do you think it's so hard for speakers to get paid?
That's a really good question. One of the reasons why is because there's a flood of speakers in the market right now. The last round, one of my colleagues was telling me in the last round of the layoffs, when they laid off a bunch of corporate like the tech companies, or something like 100,000 C-suite executives laid off, and suddenly there was 60,000 new speakers cracking into the professional speaking world. And a lot of those speakers are willing to speak for free, which as soon as that happens, it starts lowering. Event organizers now say, hey, well, who are you?
Yeah.
And we're not going to pay you. We can get this guy for free, or even for a small fee, whatever it is. And I just feel like the market right now is really flooded with a lot of speakers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. But I would say there are not many. Yeah, there are many speakers out there, but outstanding and terrific speakers, not many. So what makes someone stand out in the speaking industry, and what makes someone an outstanding and great public speaker?
I love it. I love it. I was just talking to a guy. I'm writing a book on body language for public speaking because one of the things I think that makes people stand out is their body language and their stage presence. And he has no arms. His name's Alvin Law. But I was talking to him because when I first met Alvin, he came and sat down at a table beside me. He unzipped a fanny pack with his foot, pulled out his cell phone, started recording the speaker on stage at the time, put his cell phone away. It rang. He put it up to his ear with his feet. And I was looking at him. I was like, geez, I'm really underutilizing my legs. That's what I was thinking. I was trying not to be rude when I was watching him. But then when I was writing this book, I said, I have to reach out to Alvin because he has really great body language. I was watching him on stage. And he brought up a good point about what the great headline more. It's like there's speakers who'll speak for free, and then you have headliners. So what separates a headliner from a speaker? And a headliner is someone who has great stage craft. They have something that they do on stage. Either they're funny or they're participate, they get the audience in on it. He plays the drums with his feet. He has something that he does. So when he gets up on stage, he creates an experience for people. Whereas a lot of just speakers, I see them all the time. They're coming in with their PowerPoint, they're given information, but they're missing the element of creating an experience for the audience. So I really believe that the difference between someone who's just a regular speaker and someone who's really a headliner is a person who can create an experience for the audience, whether it be stories, whether it be audience engagement, whether it be even sometimes I refer to it as a gimmick. you have a prop, you have something that captures, you're a magician, you do something extraordinary that people, they can't help but watch it.
Wow, I love that. And because you spend years studying people, speakers with sound off, and because you want to study their body language. And why is body language and non-verbal communication? And I like something that you say often, which is so what you say, but how you say it. And why is it so important to master our body language when we are speaking?
Let's say that we're having this conversation and you notice that my fists are clenched like this and my face is tight and red and my ears are smoking and I go, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. What do you believe? Do you believe my body language or do you believe my words?
Your body language.
Right. So when we get on stage, they're watching us. As much as speakers try to be small, whatever they try to hide, people are watching us. And when we're trying to be small, they're reading our body language more than our words. So we really want to have how we say it. I have this conversation with a lot of people. Words are important. I used to say that words aren't important. How you say the words is important, but words are important. How we say those words is what gives them importance. So I could use the same words and I'd be like, I'm so angry. You're going to believe that. Whereas if I use the wrong words with the wrong body language and I mismatch, I'm not being congruent and people can see that. So one of the things is when we get on stage, what I help my clients do is to understand I want them to look through every word. And if there's not a rule of thumb I have is if there's not some sort of body language to go along with those words, you're saying too many words, because what we say is important. How we say it is equally as important.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we have to kind of memorize our body language that goes with the word that we are saying. Is that true?
Yeah, I like that. I like that you said that. It is true.
Okay.
Because what happens is I talk to a lot of people and they come to me and they're talking. And when they talk, they normally they're talking using their hands or explaining things. But then when they get into a speaking situation and they're on stage, they forget they have a body. And sometimes they'll just not move their arms, or their hands will be stuck in front like this. And so you have to, I call it perfect practice, but you really want to start to do your normal gestures, but you want to start doing them on purpose. So when we're in that state of fight or flight, or in that anxiety state, we resort back to our body just goes to what it knows what to do. And if you trained yourself to speak in a certain way, that's what you'll do. Whereas if you just freeze up and you just put your hands to your side, or you say a lot, it's all of your worst habits. When the anxiety gets high, the worst habits come out. So we want to make sure our worst habits are pretty good, and then our worst habits will always be good.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you mentioned something really important, which is anxiety, right? It happens to a lot of people, especially if they are not a speaker, a trained speaker. So how do you help people overcome the fear of anxiety of public speaking?
Everybody is on a different, they have a different level. Everybody has anxiety when it comes to speaking. I don't think I've ever met somebody who doesn't have some sort of anxiety
Okay.
when it comes to speaking. But some people they're able to get up in front of audiences and speak, whereas other people are not, they're not able to do that. So when we force them to get in front of an audience and speak, it's terrifying, and it's not a good way to build confidence. So since everybody's at a different level, I would gauge where people are at, first of all, and then I would tell them my story of when I started, and I drew eyes on paper, like just eyeballs on paper, and I put them around my living room. And I just, every day I just started talking and doing speeches to these eyeballs, and I would record myself with a video camera, because I found that I wasn't comfortable, even in a room of my house being alone. I wasn't comfortable speaking out loud. I
Mm,
really had to learn how to get confident just speaking out loud in my own space, so that I could go into other spaces and confidently speak out loud as well. And everybody's a little bit different where that is, but if you can get really comfortable just being in a room, I talk to the ocean a lot. I go down the ocean, I'm like, today, like, just talking out loud as I could, out onto from the beach, out, just projecting my voice out to nothingness, out in the forest, just to build up that confidence of being able to speak out loud. And I know a lot of people are like me, and they're making a mistake by getting in front of an audience, because they're just causing like fear to overrun their minds, when they really need to just step back a little bit, figure out how to develop that self-confidence, and then when you get in front of people, it just becomes second nature.
mm. Yeah, you mentioned everyone, almost everyone has anxiety, just different levels. Do you still have anxiety? I'm just curious. This is a personal question. After speaking for so many years, do you still have kind of like nervousness, anxiety before you go on stage? Let's say a huge audience, right? The biggest audience ever, or the biggest stage ever.
Yeah. The bigger the audience, the more excited I get. There's a kind of a fine line. There's a nervousness and excitement are kind of the same.
Mm,
So a lot of times when someone's like, "Oh, I'm so scared, I'm nervous," but those are the same feelings as being really excited. And
right.
one of the things that I started to do was realize, geez, I actually get fired. The more people, the better. If there's a lot of people out there,
Mm.
someone's gonna laugh at your joke. If it's a small audience, somebody might not laugh at your joke, but if it's a big audience, for sure you're going to get a laugh. So actually, big audiences are easier to control than small audiences. But when you learn how to work the small audiences, even I'd even go back to small crowds, like 2 or 3 people. You want to learn how to control the environment with 2 or 3 people, and then work your way up 6, 10 people, and then 50 people. And if you do that, then by the time you get to 100 or 200 people, it just doesn't matter anymore. It could be 10,000 people, and you're just going to say the same thing to everybody.
Right. Yeah. So how do you approach? Okay, where do you start? Let's say today you receive a new speaking gig, right? From an organization or company or a conference. Where do you start? Like, how do you start approaching, I would say, crafting or delivering a powerful speech? Like, what would be your first step?
I'm kind of lucky because I've been doing it for a really long time, so I have a ton of material. So
Right.
my first step would be to, well, I want to figure out the size of the audience,
Okay.
and then I have an idea of what I would do for an opening already. I would think about, what do I want to give that audience? Do I want them to, what do I want to take away? Is it about being funny or telling jokes? Is it about body language and expression? And then I would craft exercises around those ideas. And one of the things that makes me a little different than a lot of speakers I know is that I bring people up on stage and I show them that everybody can do it. If you learn the right exercises, it's like playing an instrument. If you learn how to play a few chords and scales and you sat in your room on your guitar and you just played and played and played till you play them really well, when you get in front of people, you could play them really well. Well,
Mm.
speaking's pretty similar. If you know the exercises and you can do them, then you can get in front of audiences and you can really blow them away. So I like to bring people up on stage and then I'll give them just simple one-liners. Like maybe they'll finish a sentence. Maybe it'll be something like, has it ever occurred to you that? And then I'll just have them say that and then finish a sentence. And you'll see people out in the audience, they'll listen and they'll, oh, that's good. So the audience is giving you feedback in real time, which builds up their confidence as a speaker. So you can see people get confidence, just people who don't even have speaking experience, but now they've learned this one little trick about maybe what they do with their hands or how to say something with expression or how to pause, and they'll see the audience in real time reacting to that. And me as a trainer, I'm up there too, and I'm bringing light to it. So it makes it really fun and really interactive, and it allows the entire audience to feel like, hey, maybe I just need to understand what speaking is a little bit more.
Mm.
And maybe I don't have a fear. Maybe I just have never been formally trained in the art of speaking.
Yeah, you're so right. It's a skill, right, that we all can learn. So what are some of the exercises, I'm curious, that you can share with our listeners today? Maybe just one.
Yeah, we'll do it right now. We'll do it. This is the simplest exercise. So if I have my hands and I'm speaking with my hands to my side, I
Mm-hmm.
would be suggesting to my body language would say to relax to the audience. So what I would do is just have the audience, you too, just sit with your hands to your side and just say relax, just say relax.
Relax.
Okay. Yeah, everybody can do this. You can do this at home. I do these exercises as well. Now, in front of our belly button here, this is the truth plane. This is the chi area. This is the area of trust. So we can speak with our hands anywhere in this area, and it's an area of trust. So just put your hands here in the middle. No scrunching, but you keep them nice and relaxed, or you can go like this, and then just pop them out and go trust.
Trust.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when we come up here, this is an area of excitement. So put your hands up here and
Okay.
go excitement.
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 Yeah.
Okay, now repeat after me. We're gonna put our hands down, all right? Okay. I am funny.
I'm funny.
Okay. Trust area. Go, I am funny.
I am funny.
Now put them up here. I am funny.
I am funny.
I'm freaking, hold them up, hold them
Yeah,
up,
I
hold
like
them up.
that.
Do this at home. Do this at home. Seriously, go, I'm freaking hilarious.
I'm freaking hilarious.
People trust me
People trust me,
and I help them relax.
and I help them relax.
Oh, good. You hear how your voice goes up and down as your hands and your body language goes up and down. And those are simple. That's a simple exercise that I have all my clients do it and send me a video of them doing it. Because it's like the basics. It's the,
Right.
if
Okay.
you get comfortable doing that, now you're getting used to using your hands with your words and you're building up the foundation to being a confident speaker. Good work, everyone. Good work, by the way. Good work.
Yay. So does it mean that if we want to convey, if we want the audience to trust us, that we have to move our hand around this area?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but it does help.
Okay. Right.
And you can see it. You can see it. One of the things I really love to do is to do what's called, I call it split testing. So we do it one way in front of an audience, and then we do it the other way in front of the audience, and we ask the audience, well, which way did you like better?
Right.
So I find that the audience always likes the way where we're actually conveying it along with our body language. They like it better. And I've tested it on all kinds of audiences in all, I mean, different cultures as well. I've worked a lot with Chinese students, like tons of them from China as well. We tested it with them, and we tested it in Australia and Brazil and all of these audiences in North America. And it works. The audience says it works. I don't say it works. Okay. The audience says, I like that better.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's how I base it, is on what the audience. It doesn't matter what I think or the speaker thinks. It matters what the audience thinks and what they feel.
So the other thing that I want to talk to you about is about the online environment, because right now you see we are we are talking through Zoom, right? And with the rise of virtual presentation and Zoom and webinars, a lot of people are speaking online nowadays, right? And even podcasting, a lot of people get anxious, when it comes to being in front of a camera. So do we need a different skill set when we want to, speak or master or excel in online environments?
A lot of people ask me that question,
Yeah.
and you speak great, by the way. I love watching you. You have great
Oh,
energy.
thank
You have a
you.
great smile. I can just see you. You're just like you're working. I love it. But I don't know. I deal a lot with C-suite executives now, CEOs, CFOs, and they do a lot of online speaking. And I kind of make fun of them a little bit because it's normal for them to just be a talking head. So that's all they are. They'll just sit there and be a talking head. And then they'll tell me, they'll say, oh, well, I can connect with people in real life, but I have trouble connecting with people online. I tell them straight up too, but I think to myself as well, if we can't connect with people online, we're not connecting with people in real life either. They're
Mm,
very, very similar. How we share that energy, our energy comes across. Your energy comes through here. If I put you on a stage in front of people and you use that same persona that you're using right now, that same energy is going to go across out to the world, and it actually makes it even bigger. It amplifies it. And so a lot of times online when I I don't want to be mean to people, but they're talking heads is a normality now. Even some people say to me, well, can you get closer to the camera and can you get your so we can see your face? And I'm like, but I'm a hand talker, so I'm going to be expressive. So I'm not going to get that close to the camera, but
mm,
I this is me. This is who I speak like. And I'm also not a talking head. And I don't want to say it's if you have a really high, if you're a celebrity, you could talk however you want. And people are going to come in, they're going to want to listen to every word you say. But
right.
if you're not a celebrity, if you're someone like me, you have to win over people.
Mm,
And winning over people is being congruent with how you say and what you say, and it has something to do with how you look, and it has something to do with how we pause, and it has something to do with how we smile, and it has something to do with all of the gestures and all of the words that go together. So to answer your question, I think that I think that a lot of people have made it normal to be just a talking head online. And in my personal opinion, if we could move away from just the talking head and get more into the expression of our words, that we would find that we'd be able to connect online equally as well as we're able to connect offline.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. But again, see, if people who are listening to this, they might be thinking, I'm not extrovert, I'm not charismatic, right? How can I become a speaker? How can I win people over if I'm not like that?
Yeah, that's it. That's a very good question, and it brings up the point that everybody's different. So everybody, just the way that I speak when I'm dealing with my clients, I don't want to teach them to speak like me because
Okay.
uh, that's not how they are. There is a misconception though about being an introvert and not being a good speaker
Yeah.
because introverts are actually really well thought out. There's they write some of the best speeches that I've ever heard. A lot of extrovert. I'm a really strong extrovert, and we talk, blah, 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 just verbal diarrhea. Whereas a lot of introverts are very well thought out and very well structured. So I feel like there's a bit of a myth that if you're an introvert,
Right.
you're not a good speaker. And I'd like to first of all break that myth. And second of all, I I think that it's important for everybody to be aware of what they're saying with their body language, whether they think that they use it or not. If you came to, let's say that I was a basketball coach, a trainer, and
Mm,
you'd probably know how to dribble a ball and pass a ball and shoot, but then I would teach you how to refine those skills. And I would help you develop your skills, and you'd get better developing within the parameters of what I'm teaching you. It's like that for speaking. If you understand that this says this with your body language and this says this, you don't necessarily have to do it every time. You don't have to be like me, but you have to know that when you make a point, that you're going to make a stronger point. Let's say if you use your hands and you go like this and I make a point, I'm going to make a stronger point doing this than I would just making a point doing this.
Right.
And if you just use a little bit, like everybody's different, but if you just make those points, if you at least make the main points of what you want to say and you express those, then you're on your way to being a dynamic speaker.
You know, so I'm a, you know, I use my hands a lot as well, right? And
Yeah.
to a point, to an extent, I feel like I'm using it too much. So is there like too much of a body language that turn people off?
I'll tell you a story. I
Okay.
was once doing a presentation and it was a small audience, and somebody came up and was telling this group afterward, like, man, you use so much body language. If you talk to me like that at a SkyTrain station, he said, I would just give you my wallet and run. and, and I was, yeah, I was like,
It's funny.
at first I was offended. Oh man, it's so offensive. But I realized that I'm always working to be in front of a big audience. So people like you and I,
Yeah.
we're on big audience material. The bigger the audience, the bigger you have to be.
Right.
So I kind of just skip over the idea that I'm supposed to be speaking to small audiences, and I just treat everybody like it's a huge audience, like 10,000 people. And I just keep bringing that all the time, over and over and over. And it keeps my energy high. It keeps my dream alive. You know, you get on small stages a lot. You kind of feel, oh, I'm not going to make it, whatever you feel. But you still have, I'm there. I'm still doing it. So I don't know if there's too much, honestly. I think that if the feedback you're getting is like there's too much, you got to ask yourself, well, maybe the audience, is it too small? Is this person just being nitpicky? Is it happening a lot? If a lot of people are saying it to you, then maybe you want to. What I would do, here's the secret. Here's a secret. Get a video camera, and when you're doing your presentations, you record them. That way you don't have to rely on other people, because you can start to look at yourself. You take their feedback, listen to it, and then you apply their feedback with your own viewings of yourself. And if you can really get comfortable watching yourself, listening to yourself, then I can guarantee you that when you get on stage, you're going to have a presence, like a real presence, because you're going to be really in tune with who you are. And a lot of speakers, I'm just going to say speakers, but a lot of speakers who say that they can't watch themselves on video or they don't like the sound of their voice, it's going to be hard to get to a high level of speaking achievement if you're not it sounds so egotistic or whatever, but if you don't love yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think you made a really good point, because if you can't even watch yourself speak, then why would people, others, listen to you, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a friend. Every time I go to his house, he's like, hey, come here. You want to see a little bit of me speaking? And he shows me a video, and it'll be 45 minutes. I'm like, Pete, I don't want to listen to you for 45 minutes. I came to visit you. But that's what he's like. And he's a high income earner speaker as well. I'm like, how much can you watch of yourself? But I mean, I kind of watch myself too. So
But I believe that that's one of the exercises that we have to do, right? Practices that we have to do when we are just getting started. We have to watch ourselves so that we can improve. So what would be your, I would say, last piece of advice for people who want to jumpstart their career as a speaker?
oh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
Where are they at in their speaking? Are they?
Let me reframe the question. If you
Yeah.
go back to, when you are just getting started, when you want to become a speaker, what would you tell yourself?
That's a really good question. I would tell myself that just being a good speaker is not enough. You really have to be an expert at something in order to get to any level of speaking, because it's what do you talk about on stage that matters. And I used to think when I first started speaking, I'm just going to be a really great speaker, and I'm going to be able to control the stage, and I'm going to be a great storyteller and all these things. But that didn't get me paid. I didn't get paid until I started to niche in and find a singular topic that I wanted to talk about. And then I just had to go all in on that topic. And that's kind of how I ended up on even body language, is because on my process of, well, what am I teaching people? I had
Right.
to hone in and say, well, I guess other people help me out. But at some point I concluded, well, I want to talk about body language. So if I could go all the way back and start again, I would find that one thing that I really want to talk about, that one thing that I want to be an expert in. And I would focus less on being a good speaker, and I'd focus more on being the absolute best at whatever that one thing is. So I'm an expert at, I'd
Right.
fill in that blank. And then from there, I would develop speaking on the side, and I'd work on that one thing until I started getting invited around. Because that way you get invited around. People are asking, "Oh, hey, can you come here? Can you come there? Can you?" That's kind of how it happened for me with training. I talked to professional speakers. They taught me these same tricks that I share, even that one I shared with you today. And I started sharing them around, and people say, "Hey, can you come train this group? And can you come train that group?" And then I had a bunch of speakers win a bunch of awards, and that escalated into more people. And I didn't even want to be a speaker trainer. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. But that just started falling on my lap. And I was like, well, I can get paid for that, so I'm just going to continue doing that. And I love it. It's so much fun, and I love to see people develop, but it wasn't my ambition.
But I'm sure you're still a great speaker and motivational speaker, right? And you're also
Oh, I
helping
love it.
others to become one. So I think that's your purpose, right? And so
Yeah.
tell my people how they can work with you and where do they find you?
Yeah, they can find me online. I think I dropped for a cheat sheet that I give out to all. So it's a cheat sheet for almost everything. It talks a little bit about body language, talks a little about how to construct it, because that's a big part too. How
Hmm.
do you structure a speech for any situation? Once you know how to structure a speech, you just fill in the template every single time. That part's easy. Now you know a little bit about how your body speaks. That part becomes easy. And then we learn about how to engage audiences. So I put all of that as a little gift for your listeners.
Oh, that's
And I've included that in, but they can find me at my name, Devin, DevinBisanz.com. And yeah, I'm going to be kicking off a new program. I have a book coming out on body language this year. Pretty fired up this year. This is going to be a good year, Joy.
yeah, it's going to be. I'm excited and I can't wait to see what's next for you. And let me know when you have book when is your book gonna be released?
Oh, it's going to be a little like by that. I want it to be out in the fall. In the fall.
Okay. Okay. Maybe we can have you
Yeah.
back on the show to talk
Yeah,
about.
let's do it. I'd
Yeah,
love
let's
to.
do it
I'd
to
love
promote the
to.
book. All right, thank you so much for giving the gift. I'm gonna drop all the links in the show note below. So guys, make sure you visit the show note and download the cheat sheet and follow Darwin, and also tell us what is your biggest takeaway from this episode. We would love to hear it from you. If you have any question, you can just put a comment in if you're watching this on YouTube, and we'll get back to you. All right, I hope you learned a lot from today's episode, and remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. And until next time, keep showing up. Success doesn't show up for you until you show up and pursue your own success. Hi there, thanks for listening today, and I would love to meet you at our virtual dinner party. Once or twice a month, we come together as a community in a safe and empowering environment to help and support one another in our entrepreneurship journey. So what is a virtual dinner party? A VDP is not a networking event, it's not a teach event, and it's not a webinar where you don't get to talk. I want you to imagine the VDP being a cross between a mastermind, speed dating, and a Tony Robbins event. And most importantly, there is nothing for sale. My goal for you in attending our VDP is to help you build real confidence, gain more visibility for yourself, and build a deeper connection within our community. What is the catch? There isn't one. If you're a coach, consultant, entrepreneur, or podcaster, come and join us for a truly unique and world-class experience. And there is a choice of dates and times for you to attend. To RSVP, just send me a DM on Facebook with the word VDP now.